because the market is highly competitive. But if you are not, if your home is not in that competitive position, it's still going to sit on the market. So we'll kind of go over that a little bit, talk a little bit about some of the things that we kind of help you with, as far as our services to kind of get your home ready, and then we'll kind of go through kind of like the process of what you're going to experience throughout the timeline there.
All right, so who's Weens and Roth? We were founded in Lambertville by Aaron and Melanie Weens. And their goal is to provide top quality real estate services. And they do that by believing relationship matters. And that's how you really dig into the community, you build relationships, and that should be your number one priority, not chasing the transaction. The services Weens and Roth offer reflect the change in the real estate market. Before it was the expectations where you're going to come out and snap a picture and it's going to list. Now there's a lot more that goes into it, a lot of marketing that goes into that, and we're going to want to make sure we provide that same quality and value and build into the relationship because we care more about you as a person as we do the transaction.
We've also set ourselves up too as like a team environment, so it's not just one person that you're going to see at a time throughout the process. You're going to have multiple people that can help you if you can't get a hold of one of us, but we're all going to always be engaged with you, as opposed to some teams where, okay, the listing agent listed the home and then you're on to the next person. We're never going to pass you off to somebody else, but we will have a lot of people. One important thing here is a lot of people find it's pretty cool that when we list a home, all of our agents are out marketing the home. So we have like a social media day. You come out, you list your home, and then we have all of our agents out there taking photos, doing videos, and doing everything they can do to promote it on social media too. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of unique to us. A lot of other companies and brokerages don't do that, but we all support each other and help market everybody's listings.
Yeah, exactly. We're not a dog eat dog brokerage. When Jenny succeeds, I celebrate. That's the kind of environment we've grown here. So brief market update. The average sale price in Monroe County is $251,000, up 20% since 2020. And if you have a home and you've owned it since 2020, you're probably a little excited because my house has gained a bunch of value. Inventory continues to decrease by 50%. Since 2020, less than 280 houses for sale. So the inventory just keeps going down and down and down, and that's what keeps driving our prices up. Monthly supply of homes decreased from 3.5% or 3.5 to 2. Anything to add on that?
So what that means is when it decreases from 3.5 to 2 is if everything was sold in the entire market that's on the inventory right now, then it would take 2 months to wipe out the entire inventory. A healthy market is really about a 6-month supply of inventory. So we get a lot of those questions of, hey, I'm going to hold out, or is the market going to change? When's it going to shift? It's not going to shift until we start seeing that number creep back up to 5 or 6, and we're not going to see that market creep up to 5 or 6 until we get more building going on.
Mm-hmm.
We have such a low supply that the supply and demand is going to continue. Home values are just going to continue to increase. Even if the interest rates start to creep back up, I mean, they already have, but if they continue to go up, it's going to be quite a while before they change that inventory balance.
Yep.
And then before they'll start to even think about going down.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. So what were the main causes of this? So we have, first of all, supply and demand. If the demand is there and the supply is not, oops, my phone's up. If the demand is there and the supply is not, of course that's going to drive prices up, right? And so there's been a major decrease in new construction. In 2008, this is before the famous crash, there was 98,000 home builders. Can you guess how many there are right current?
I would guess less than half.
Yes, we're about 41,000 home builders, and that's been starting to have a steady increase over the past couple of years, but they cannot keep up with demand because there's not the people in the trades. So there is still a huge demand for new homes. Of course, you saw the interest rates. They were crazy the past few years. Hopefully you got a nice rate on your home or refinanced. But if you were to sell and try to relocate in this area with the current interest rate, it would be tough, right? So a lot of sellers are not moving from their homes because they have those high interest rates. So that's keeping inventory low. And then finally, we've seen a huge increase in investors seeing the trend in real estate. They're buying more and more. New investors are coming in all the time. And then also the Airbnb trend has gone crazy.
We have a significant increase in volume of all the short-term rentals. So we have a lot of people owning homes, but a lot of people not living in the homes, or at least permanently. So that actually kind of wiped out the first-time home buyer market for those who have affordable homes. So we're starting to see, I think, a little bit of the Airbnb and short-term rental market kind of sell off a little bit. So hopefully that'll kind of increase inventory for first-time home buyers.
All right, so now we're going to get into listing services, and I'll hand this over to Jenny.
All right. So getting ready to sell. So you call us, say, hey, what do? I want to put my house in the market. I want to sell. So we'll kind of go through your house. We'll walk through it and talk about what types of repairs you should tackle. There's a lot of things that you can say, hey, I need to do this, I need to do that. But there's also a lot of repairs that probably aren't really going to make a difference in your sale price. So we kind of come in, we'll walk through and talk to you about, okay, well, these things you should do. These things, it doesn't make sense on your return. So we'll give you a nice little checklist, kind of look through it, talk about it, and then see what makes sense to you financially. And then we'll kind of like let you go on your way, take care of your things while we're kind of getting things prepped along. And then what items should I let go? So we'll kind of help you go through things and say, okay, let's declutter the house. If we're going to walk through and kind of give you an idea of a checklist, if we feel it's a point that we want to bring a stager in, we can have someone come in and help you kind of give you a little bit more in-depth review of your home and, should we take furniture out? Should we bring stuff in? Things like that. So we can help you with that. And then, as far as does my home need to be updated, those are the things. Biggest thing is people say, should I put new carpet in? Should I put a new kitchen in? How about my bathroom? So we kind of look at the pros and cons of doing that and then trying to make the decision if financially it makes sense, or maybe you can do a partial kitchen remodel or only certain flooring, because inevitably you can go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to put flooring in or carpeting in, and someone may not even like it anyway. So there's definitely, you have to weigh out the balance of whether you should, and we're definitely not fans of telling our clients to spend money unnecessarily. So.
Yeah.
And do you have connections with certain contractors in the area? Like if I had to do some repairs or remodeling for something to increase the value, do you have contacts that we'd be able to
We do.
use?
We do. We have a list of people that, we've done business with or our clients have done business with that, we usually people say, hey, do you got a painter or a drywaller? We do have a list of contacts that we're happy to share with you to give them a call and see if it's fit for you.
Okay.
So you may be wondering what repairs and updates should I consider doing. Typically major repairs, maintenance items, unfortunately, don't always get you the return you're hoping for. That brand new roof is awesome, but it's not going to get you a full return because it's a maintenance item. Sellers are happy about it and make your house a little more marketable, but it's not going to get you that full return. Items like kitchen, bathrooms, those are the items that typically, historically, we can say, yes, you're going to get a return, unless if you oversell your bathroom. If you put a $50,000 bathroom in your house that's $100,000, you probably aren't getting that return. Things like fresh paint, those make a huge difference. If you I don't know if you're a University of Michigan fan, but if you have that Block M on your wall and you love it and you lay under it every night, that's great, but you should probably paint over that, because you want to make sure your house is the most neutral it can be to reach you don't want that Buckeye fan to not step in your house, right? Maybe you do.
But definitely painting is probably one of the most inexpensive ways to freshen up and make your house feel clean, modern, and just inviting to come in. So we always, if you have really dark colors on your wall or that big blue M, go Buckeyes, paint over that wall, and things like that. And it's super cheap to do, and then it makes a world of difference in the presentation of the house and the desirability, because a lot of people walk into a home going, I just want to move into my home. I don't want to have to paint my house first before I move in. And if it's just a neutral color, then they can figure out what they want when they get in. So,
Here's a little top tip. Most people will judge the house and how well it's taken care of by how organized your garage is. So just keep that in mind. So here's the marketing plan. And I like to tell people, Wiens & Roth, yeah, we're a real estate brokerage, but ultimately we are a marketing brokerage. We are going to help you make your home reach the broadest audience and to get the most for your house. Your home is your biggest asset that most people have. So we want to make sure that we are providing the best marketing for you.
yeah, most people think when they're hiring an agent that they just want to hire an agent to come in, get their house on the market, write offers, and get them through the process. But ultimately, our job is really to be professional marketing people. Because if your home isn't being seen, we're not presenting it in the right light, if we're not being able to help market, negotiate for you, we're not doing our jobs effectively. So really, I mean, yes, we can come in and say, okay, here's what we think your home's worth. Let's just get it on the market and let it go. But that's only like 10% of what we're supposed to be doing, and a baby will effectively get you the most money for your house.
One of those things is professional staging. So when I go and I talk to you about your home, I say, look, I'm going to send out a home stager. She's going to come to your house. She's going to spend an hour with you. She is a certified home stager. It's something I am not. But she's going to spend an hour with you. She's going to walk you through what you should do your home to make it the most marketable. So you're going to have this checklist. Now it's up to you whether and how much you do on that checklist. But that kind of removes the guesswork. Okay, now you say, hey, I know if I want to succeed, if I follow this checklist, that's going to give me the best chance to do that. You want to talk about furniture staging?
Yeah, so some of the options that we have is they can come in and give you a checklist, and you can just kind of work on things yourself. If things just need to be decluttered, it's not too big of a deal. And then the other options our stagers will do is they'll give you a partial staging package where they can use some of your furniture, but say maybe you're lacking a dining room table in your dining room. They can bring in that, or you just need some accessories to some freshen up some lamps and some wall decor or different things like that. They can do a partial package. Or if you really decide like, hey, I'm moving out, I don't want my furniture in here or anything, they can come in and completely stage the whole house with all furniture that kind of all matches, blends, flows together, and looks really nice. And that's really ultimately what you're going to pay for that staging. You're going to get back in return because we have many, many examples of where we've staged a home versus a home not staged, and you do get a higher return and you get more people through it and everything because people can really visualize themselves in those spaces. More so than having an empty home.
Yeah, an empty home feels cold. On the opposite spectrum, a cluttered house feels dirty and messy. So we want to find that balance where it feels lived in, it feels warm, it feels inviting, but it's not overwhelming with stuff everywhere. So that's what the home stager is going to help make that perfect presentation for you. So professional interior and drone photography. I tell people all the time, I'm not a professional photographer. I maybe take a good selfie now and then, but that's about it. And so I'm never going to claim to be. And I wouldn't want to do amateur work for you. So we always hire professional photographers to make sure your home looks the very best.
We have a few on staff, well, not necessarily on staff, but that we work with on a regular basis. And they all have their different perspectives. So different photographers we'll hire to shoot different homes. We have one that's very good at all of his exteriors are drone footage. So everything is seen at just about this level as opposed to this level, which makes a big difference in presentation. Especially if you have a larger home or have something on a larger piece of property, things like that. And then obviously if you have a large piece of property, he's going to go much higher and get aerial shots and things like that too. So they have more of the skill set, the capability than we do. It's always important though, we found that in photographers is making sure the photographer is really shooting the home true to reality as opposed to like over processing them to make the home look too good, make the home look too big, things like that. So when the buyers come through the home, they're not disappointed that, oh, this home looks nothing like the pictures.
Yeah, we try not to catfish. Right?
Yep.
And I think that so many people nobody right now is calling their agent and say, hey, can you take me to some homes? I haven't even seen them yet, but I just want you to drive me around. That does not happen. That used to be maybe 30 years ago. But now, all of our clients, they're browsing. They're looking at Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, all those. They're browsing them. So their first impression is this. So we got to make sure that that looks awesome.
Most people will only go look at one or two, maybe three homes before they even write an offer because they can tell immediately with what we do, as we've got here, is floor plans. So people can already know what the layout of the home is before they even walk in the home. We have 3D tours that they can kind of, walk themselves through it. We also do videography, so it's actually a virtual walking tour through the home. So people really don't need to be in there to know whether they're going to like the home. The only aspect of them actually getting into the house and walking through it is really getting their hands on and seeing like the quality of the home, things like that you can't pick up in the videos and the photos, and getting a feel for real spatial and making sure they're true to the photography. Other than that, most people already have their mind made up as to whether they are interested and want to buy that home before they even get there anymore.
Yeah, and one of our photographers, when his home was listed, the person bought his home because of this. They were out of state and they were able to walk through the home all remotely, virtually, and they were comfortable with writing an offer, and that's what they did. They didn't see it until the day of closing. So.
No, we see a lot of out-of-state buyers now, and it makes them much more comfortable, and it gives them an opportunity to be able to buy. Because imagine not being able to see more than just a couple 2D photos, and you're in Texas and getting on a plane going, hey, this house is going to come on the market next week, and having to fly here to even know what you're going to buy. So this gives them a good comfort and peace of mind that what they're getting, they have a good feel for it.
All right, pricing it right. This is probably one of the most crucial points. We could do all the great marketing, we could do all of that, but if we don't price it in the price range that is going to help bring the most buyers to your house, then we've done a disservice to you. So we want to make sure we're not just chasing the market. We're way up there. That way, because if we price it too high, it's going to sit, right? We want to make sure we're avoiding that. We want to bring the most buyers. And one of the ways of doing that is
pricing it right and pricing it a little bit lower. So we get a lot of those questions by our sellers and saying, well, I don't want to price it low. Am I missing out on an opportunity to get more money for your home? The answer is no. Because right now, if you price it too low, you're going to get several offers and they're all going to compete. And the more offers you get, the more people are wanting to offer you more money because they want to compete and get their offer accepted. If you price it high, you're going to kind of have more of a cool feeling to it, and people are more than likely you might get one offer, or it's going to sit for a few days or a couple weeks, and then more than likely you might going to get an asking price offer. So I tell people we can price it here, or we can price it here, and get an offer up to here. So that's kind of the strategy, that you can't really price it too low, but you can still price it too high, and the home will sit. So I mean, there are still some sellers that still want to kind of say, hey, let's go for it, let's price a little bit higher and see what happens. We just make sure we're honest with them and have a conversation with them that we can try it high, but we can't let it sit high for too long, because nowadays when people see that it's home sitting on the market for 2 weeks, it's too long, it's stale. Immediate reaction is there must be something wrong with this home. It hasn't sold yet. So it's very, very detrimental to pricing something too high in this market.
And why we like to achieve multiple offers is if you have one offer on the table and we were priced up here, and you had multiple offers and you were priced here, you have more leverage now as the seller because you have multiple offers. You have the big chip at the or big pile of chips at the table, so you have more control in that situation. If you have that one offer, you may be a little bit desperate to hold on to it, but now if you have multiple, you kind of have your pick of the litter, and you have more control of the situation. All right, so let's talk timeline. So we've gotten to the point where we've done all the marketing, we've talked about it, and what's it all look like from start to finish?
So once we've talked about it, all the marketing, all the prep, everything, we can either do a coming soon or an active listing. So if we think that there's things you still want to work on, but we want to get things moving in the market for you, In Michigan, we get the house on the market a week ahead of time. That might say, hey, I got a few projects I want to finish up, things like that, let's just start getting it marketed, getting the excitement out there, get people kind of starting to stack up their showings on the first day. So we can do that up to 7 days in Michigan. In Ohio, it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks to me feels like it gets a little stale. By the time 3 weeks comes around, someone's found something else. But
Yeah.
I don't try and do all the way up to 3 weeks. Once we get there, then we got active listing, and then that means people can actually start coming through your home, taking a look at it, making consideration whether they want to offers or not.
And the day in the week, I mean, most people are looking at on the weekends, right? So we want to kind of build the anticipation at the beginning of the week, and then maybe Thursday, Friday is when we start showings, and maybe plan an open house around that weekend also. Open houses are good ways to, maybe people that are kind of on the fence, they don't want to deal with maybe calling an agent yet, but they still might get out for something fun. What do you think? And those are the kind of people that come out, fall in love with it. Now they're calling an agent. Hey, we just walked into this open house. We love it. So those are the kind of people we're looking for.
I think ideally we do like to, as Joel said, try and get homes on the market like Wednesdays or Thursdays, because that's when people are really starting to think about planning their weekend. Monday, Tuesday's been kicked off for the work week, so no emails get read, things like that on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So Wednesdays, Thursdays are great days, because then, like you said, you kind of get into the weekend. We'll do an open house on a Saturday or Sunday, and then we can kind of hold it open, bids due, all the way through the end of the weekend. Monday sets you up really good for us to make our due diligence, to call the lenders, verify their pre-approvals, make sure they're good, solid buyers, and then, we can award offers. So that's the ideal situation. We try and set things up. Sometimes we get the cart before the horse, or we get offers right away that are really great, or we have, you don't need 20 offers. 5 good offers, I always say, is a really good expectation. That if you can get 5 of them, that's plenty to choose from. 20 of them, people get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It happens,
Yeah.
but, so sometimes sellers will just say, hey, you know what, we've got a couple great offers. I don't need to keep showing this house.
And this is really important too. So if somebody comes through your house, you're going to get, and they don't like it, maybe they're going to leave you some feedback. Don't get your feelings hurt when they say, I don't like this paint color, I don't like this, I don't like that. That is valuable information that we can use to fine tune how we move forward with with the pricing. So it's going to happen. It's normal. So just keep that in mind. All right. So what happens now? We got an offer. What happens?
So we get an offer. We sit down. We take a look at it. Some of us have some nice little spreadsheets that kind of go through, and we'll break it down for you, because some of these contracts can be 6, 8 pages long, everything to read through. So we put together a nice organized fashion that what are the key things we look at. So we look at 1, price. 2, is there an escalation clause? So did they give you a lower number but say they're willing to pay up to a certain amount? We look at what type of financing do they have. Do they have cash? Do they have conventional? Things like that. Then we'll also go back and look to see, are they looking to do an inspection? Are they waiving an inspection? And then any type of appraisal contingency. So those are the things that you kind of take a look at. Those are the big key things. There might be some other factors, but those are kind of the major items that we take into consideration when we're talking through and reviewing all offers. And then it's up to the seller to kind of pick what they feel like they have the best terms and that they're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then once you have that, I mean, obviously you can accept, decline, or counter. If some of those terms, even if we have multiple offers, you're like, I like this one, but let's see if they can do this. Let's change a little bit. We can still go back and counter that way. All right. So after you've accepted an offer, most of the time they're going to come out and do the home inspection. We'll talk on that in a few minutes. So I'm going to skip over this slide, and we'll circle back around to the home inspection.
So once we get through, you get an offer accepted, then they go through the inspection process, and then while they're doing that, then the lender starts kind of kicking off all of their financing things. And when we're good to go and say, hey, inspection looks great, everyone's moving forward, next thing you know, the appraiser's coming out to take a look at the house to make sure it appraises at the value of the contract. So they'll come in, spend maybe a half hour taking measurements, taking some photos, come back, do their homework, go back to the lender and let them know that yes, this home is at value, or no, it's not. Then that could be another negotiating point that we might have to go back and, come to terms with on that.
Yeah, so let's say your home under appraises for $50,000. There are a few things that we can do with that. You can either kill the deal, like say, hey, if you can't, like this deal's off unless you guys come up with the extra money because I'm not going to drop the price. You can negotiate, say, hey, let's work out a plan where we can maybe figure out, I'll drop a little bit, the buyer comes up a little bit to make up the difference. Like you can do that. Or maybe the buyer is willing to work with their lender and try to appeal it, maybe get a second appraiser. So those are all things that we can discuss if there is an underappraisal.
All right, that puts us into appraisal's good, move past there, we're ready to close. So what does that mean? That means all the loan's been approved, everything's gone through our underwriting, title work has been done, and we're ready to set closing. So right before closing, we normally do a final walk through the home for the buyer. They'll come through, just make sure everything is in similar condition as to when they put the offer in and have the inspection and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
just remember your home is not sold till you sign. So the condition it is when the buyer wrote the offer, that's what they expect at closing.
Yep. So then at closing, we go to the title company typically, not always, but generally, but they'll be facilitating the closing, all the signing of the paperwork. Then if you have possession immediately, the seller will just turn over the keys at closing. If you have 30 days to stay in the home, then we'll kind of coordinate a key exchange at the end there. And then possession is granted to them.
Yeah, so it's very common that the buyers give you offer some possession after closing, which means they'll give you maybe 30, 60 days, 15 days, whatever. If that does come up, don't be surprised if they say, we'd like an escrow holdback, a damage holdback, saying once you sell, the title company is going to hold $1,500 or $2,000 or $1,000. And then when keys are finally exchanged, they get to make sure the house is in good condition, and then the money's given back to you. So that's just a little security for the buyer because you're living in their house at that point. So, any questions? We went through that fast, but we just wanted to give you a 30,000-foot kind of overview. Any questions about the process? Anything at all?
My main questions are, so specifically with my house, some of the questions I have are pertaining to like potential, not remodels, but like repairs and like updates.
What should and shouldn't be done.
Yeah, and like I'm curious about the timeline on that too, because like say I need to have some contractors come in, like what's a reasonable timeline I could expect to get that work done? For the listings.
I would say plan for 4 to 5 weeks.
4 to 5. That'll work. Because I might have to do a driveway. I might have to.
Stuff like that. Now, if you're talking little stuff, it really
know.
depends on what you
Yeah.
want to get done and
Yeah.
whether it makes sense to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's one of my big questions. Is
Yeah.
like what things need updated.
Yeah.
Does the driveway actually need replaced, or can it be sold as is?
See, a driveway hardly ever will give you your return.
It may hinder a loan type, like if it has major cracks or trip hazards or things like that. But I can tell you right now, a lot of contractors for driveways are about 4 months out.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
So then you go, do I want to wait 4 months? Do I sell it as is? Do I put some money in escrow at closing if someone makes a big deal about it? Those kinds of things. So definitely that's where it would help if someone came out and took a look at it and said, okay, this is what might make sense for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like I'd want to start that sooner
Definitely.
rather than later.
Yep.
Even though I may not plan to list until like maybe late summer.
Yeah.
Fall.
Usually people start these kinds of conversations of having them come out and look at the home a couple months in advance.
Yep.
Gives them time.
So I'll see you Friday.
So, all right. Well,
All right,
we will
cool.
turn that
And
over
then we're going
to
to turn it over to Eric. He's going to talk home inspections. Get that pulled up.
Here's a pen. I hear they write real nice. Thank you.
What'd I do? It closed on me. Hold on. I'll get it up real quick.
Also, do you have a restroom?
Yeah, right around the corner. You can head it. To the left. Yep. There we go. We're up.
That arrow, okay. Got it. Will this be okay if I leave it here, or do I need to? I can stay.
I mean,
Close.
if you, yeah.
Okay. I
Just
didn't.
hold it or clip it.
Was that too close?
No, that's fine.
What's his name?
Robert.
Robert.
Whenever you're ready.
You ready, Robert?
I'm ready.
So, I love your question about the driveway. I've seen more cracked driveways. It might be a good idea to go look at other homes, just so you know the condition of other homes. Everyone's so nervous that their home is horrible. I guarantee it looks like everybody else's home. So, unless
I got a big chunk missing out of mine.
it, I see it all the time. Unless you have a driveway here and then you have a slab like this that someone's going to trip over, that's the only thing that gets written up. And even then, it's kind of like
I might have.
someone
You gotta see how
jack
tall
it up a
is.
little bit.
It's definitely offset.
Yeah. Okay. So since you're selling, we'll talk about pre-listing inspections. So I love that you guys talked about what to do to get ready for a home, because as I was sitting back there, I'm writing things down of what to look for in a home. So I'm Eric, by the way, and I do home inspections. And so this is like the form that we go through. So lots and grounds. These are things that we're going to look at outside. So things that we write up all the time are, is your vegetation too close? Which, again, is completely minor. But if you want to make your home look super nice with great curb appeal, cut your grass and edge it real nice. You'll be way ahead of the game. And if you have extra time, cut your neighbors too. Making the neighborhood looks better will only help your house sell.
It's okay, I'm the neighbor with the long grass.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, cut your grass, and you'll get a lot of bonus points from your neighbors and the potential buyers. This is a home I inspected, so there's a broken step. So this is what a lot of homes look like, just to help you with whatever driveways. Trees too close, things like that. On the exterior, we look at doors, windows. A big thing that gets written up a lot is chipped paint on windows and caulking. And I heard that talked about. FHA writes that up every time, so they'll want that painted. Which it's not, trust me, it gets written up all the time. I would recommend going to PPG or Sherwin-Williams to get their paint. Even as someone who never paints, you can take a paintbrush and put it on, and it will look beautiful. I promise you, I do it all the time. Another thing, if you have a lot of moss on your roof or anywhere else, just get some gone in 90 seconds, and it's like magic. Your house will be clean. Your roof will be clean of moss if you have it. And if you want to tell me specifically about your home, I can tell you things that I would write up to sort of, since, we can gear this towards you. But yeah, so these are the things we look at outside. And again, nothing is a deal breaker. So with a pre-inspection and you talk it over with your realtors, you already know everything they're going to write up. So when they come and say, this is broke or that's broke, say, yeah, we know, we factored that into the price, or however you guys want to negotiate it. But then you're not in an emotional roller coaster where you're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And so that is one of the benefits. broken hose bibs all the time, which is it's so minor. But again, windows that just need painted, um, they get written up. And again, everything is very minor. It's whatever the person is comfortable fixing and you're fixing or whatever. So whatever you think's a huge deal, I promise you, it's not. And they're pretty good. We went through a couple homes and it was it needed some paint and it wasn't horrible and they will help you a ton. Um, this is what we look at on roofs. The main thing is gutters. Make sure your gutters are just 4 or 5 feet away from the house because you don't want all that water right there on your foundation. That's a huge one that gets written up every time by everyone. Um, I don't know what type of home you have. If you have brick,
It's
is it
not.
siding?
Yeah, it's vinyl siding.
Okay, that's perfect. So on that, um, I would write up like cracked or chipped, and usually that's at the bottom where the lawnmower is. No one ever fixes them. I don't think FHA has a problem with them.
Not unless it's like extreme.
Yeah. I mean, it can't be like, oh my, you can't drive by and be like, oh my God.
Yeah,
But
it's just a little hole.
yeah. So again, no, I don't want to say none of these things are worth fixing because you do have to fix some for people to get their loans. But I would certainly, before you start spending a chunk of your change, you know, talk to them. Um, these are mostly pictures of gutters leaking, which doesn't really concern you. This is something that I write up a lot. I don't know if FHA. I don't think many people like gutters terminating on roofs. And again, this is $10 for an extension piece into the lower gutter. Um, so even things that might look like huge problems are very easy fixes. In the garage, um, it is funny. A cluttered garage usually means a cluttered home. I heard you say earlier you can tell a lot of the home by how the garage is kept, and that's pretty true actually. Um, so again, these are the things we look at. Most of the time, as long as your garage floor isn't completely cracked, there's not much to write up in there. You want to make sure you have GFCIs. That is a big one that will get written up. Um, you want them on the exterior, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, um, and you want to make sure they work. Um, I mean, this was a house for sale, so as long as even if yours looks like that, people sell them all the time. So don't whatever you're concerned about, don't be. I would take a peek in your attic, um, get a flashlight, take a look around. You just want to look for water stains on the roof sheathing. Um, make sure there's no like 2x8s, whether you have rafters or trusses. You want to make sure none of the pieces are broken. And even if they are, it's a simple fix. You just get one and screw another board next to it. That's how you fix them. So even if you find it, still no big deal. One that gets written up a lot is exhaust ducts when they fall off, like bathroom fans. You see it all the time. Again, if you're going to do some of this yourself, be careful because the last thing you want to do is put a hole in your drywall, getting over to fix something. Um, Structure. Do you have a basement?
It's a 4-foot crawl space.
Okay.
No basement.
So a big thing in crawl spaces is make sure you have a vapor barrier, which is go in the paint department of Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, and get a thicker plastic, like 6 mil or above. It's maybe $20 at the most, and it's just a sheet, and you just cover the floor if it's not already. That helps moisture from coming up. Um, e- Everyone should write that up if they don't. So that's something I'd write up every time. Um, and again, $20. Make sure there's no water coming in from any of your sides. So to sort of take a peek around with your flashlight. And again, all of this is just so so your emotions are better fluctuated when it comes time to sell. I see it all the time. Um, Crawl space. Yeah. So, oops.
button on the right.
So this is what most of them look like, just dirt, sand, what have you. It does not have to look this pretty. This is one that's been professionally done. As long as you have plastic down, that's good enough um, for the most part. Um, if you have insulation in there, you want to make sure like it's not falling. It's super easy to put it back up. Um, but even if I wrote this up, as ugly as that looks, it would be like put a vapor barrier down, and that's pretty much that looks like a lot of lint from a dryer, so connect that wherever it is. But again, as ugly as that looks, it's not. It's pretty normal. Electrical. If you want to like walk around and just make sure your outlets aren't broken or loose or anything like that, and you can do that by like pushing on them without getting electrocuted. Um, those get written up a lot. Your toilet, you can test that. A lot of loose toilets will cause water. Just sort of take your leg and push it on the side and make sure it doesn't rock. And even if it does, that's a simple fix. There's just 2 bolts on the side. You slowly tighten those so you don't crack anything. Um, so, yeah, and if you paint, don't paint your outlets. I don't know why people love doing that. Anything you do, I would save receipts for, because in every home, to cover myself, I say put new smoke alarms to make sure that they work. And some people are like, I just put those in. The paint fumes, dust, all sorts of things throw those off. So I just put it in every report. But if you have the receipt that says I just did it, that might help you, you know. Yeah, I don't know if you want to go through the rest of this. I mean, this is what a lot of water heaters look like. So if yours is in better condition than that, or if it's in worse, it doesn't even.
Mine's brand new now.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So one thing you might want to do is run water everywhere, um, bathroom sinks, whatever. Open the doors and sort of take a flashlight and look. Just make sure nothing's leaking. It does happen a lot of time, and a lot of times it's as simple as tightening something, but that will get written up every time. Um, yeah. And this is what it looks like when something leaks for an extended period. Um, One thing that will get written up most times is peeling paint in the house. Um, no one likes to see that. Make sure all of your stairs have handrails.
It's
Uh,
a ranch. I don't have
okay,
stairs.
cool. That's even better. Yeah, I don't, I don't know. I, I would say open your windows, let some fresh air in. Go get some Pillsbury dough, bake some chocolate chip cookies, make it smell good. You'd be surprised how far that goes. Um, but yeah, I don't know. If you have any questions specifically about your house, I can answer them afterwards. I don't want to take up. I don't know how we're going on time, but
Yeah, I have a quick question. What is one failure item that you see most common?
it's everything that we've talked about. It's missing handrails, maybe 30% of the time. GFCIs where they're not supposed to be, or where they should be that they're not. Chipping paint, no one likes that, so that gets written up a lot. And gutters because they're aluminum and they're constantly hit by lawnmowers, weed whackers. So those get written up all the time. Um, those are the major ones.
What about electrical? Do you see much for like electrical panels, things like that?
So yes, and it depends. Most of the time it's double taps, which you have to be careful because if you read the breaker, some of them will say it's 2 pole, and most inspectors just write it up every time. And I hate that because you should look at it because it is acceptable in some of them. Um, Rust is a big one. Um, yeah, mostly double taps.
Are you on septic or are you hooked up to?
I have a septic field, yeah.
Okay.
So that, yeah, different
So-
inspection.
Yeah, so do you know how old the system is?
Uh, I think, so I think it's the original when it was built in 1990.
Okay, so not that old. Um, what would you recommend for a septic prior to listing?
How about the last time you got it pumped?
That was pretty recently, yeah.
Okay,
I think maybe a year ago, but we don't use it a lot.
oh, sure.
Yeah.
I would find those receipts,
Mhm.
if you can, to show. I would imagine they're certainly going to get their own inspection, but that goes a long way to show any documentation you have.
Yeah, I should probably, I think I do need to get it pumped this year. I don't remember exactly when I did it, but it's around the time where I need to, so
Okay.
I'm gonna do that before I sell it anyway. So
Yeah.
I'll keep that receipt around.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe sort of ask them their thoughts of the condition of it.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then have them write it so you can pass it along. That might be helpful. Again, they should get their own inspection regardless, but it will certainly, maybe they will save some money and just go with yours. Yeah.
One thing
Yes.
one concern I have is, I've noticed the electrical panel gets humidity from the outside connection, like it's not quite airtight around there. How common is that, and how is that concerning or not?
So it's pretty common. Um, get some outdoor sealant like silicone somewhere in the paint department, like a caulk. You want like silicone or something for outdoor, depending on how big the gap is. You might need some of that foam, but that's something it's pretty common to get that written up. But I would certainly seal it up on your own now to stop it, so it sort of dries up without somebody else finding it, so to maybe mitigate it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly any penetration from outside to inside that's not sealed very well is something we would write up. So around your hose bibs too.
I
And
imagine Windows a lot.
windows, yeah. Yeah, windows get written up all the time.
Yeah, ultimately, our goal is to make sure your home is, we want less ammunition for the buyer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so anything that we can take care of previously, it just eliminates their negotiating power. And of course, you want to be able to offer a good, safe home to the future buyers too.
Mhm.
So that's the other benefit of it.
Yeah.
Do you offer pre-home inspections?
Yes.
So
Yep.
if you, before you put this house on the market, you can come in and do kind of a high level, hey, here's the things I found, you should probably do those ahead of time?
Yep. And we do infrared too, which is sort of like a scanning for temperature differences. So it's very helpful to find moisture leaks, which is what most people use it for. But yes, that's very good because then you know anything the next person finds, you've already found and you've already discussed how we're going to tackle these, be it whatever you guys come. I won't offer suggest yet, but whatever you guys come up with, and that's certainly. I know buying a home is a long process and it's ups and downs, and if at the last minute somebody throws a wrench in things, you don't want to be emotional and say, here's 10 grand or what have you, or blow a deal or something. You want to already be prepared for it and figure out how you're going to tackle it. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. I appreciate it. That was mine. Cool. Well, that kind of sums up what we got. Unless you had other questions for Jenny and I, you do have that there, and that kind of walks you through a little bit more of what we talked about. But it does, it just kind of, so that way you have more at home if you need to look back and have the information. So is there any other questions you might have? This is your one shot.
Let me check. I think I got some in my notebook.
You got notes.
Yeah, let's see. All right, no, I think you answered most of them.
Cool.
And the rest of them I'll get answered if once I actually have someone look at the house.
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds like we got to get that set up soon so you can start getting that going.